As for our situation with the AUP, the Architectural and Urban Planning Solution, and its approval, it will eventually be resolved. It's not going anywhere. The main thing is that we don't waste time while these processes are underway. We prepare, as we do now. Right now, a number of important rearrangements are taking place directly at the site because additional spaces have been prepared for installing equipment, and even more equipment has now arrived. Big changes are happening on the third floor. Additional equipment has also been brought up, which will be used in electronics manufacturing processes. A whole batch of engines with different power outputs and various rotation speeds is currently being prepared so that there will be exhibition samples for Army 2025. We will negotiate with exhibition venues. We will be exhibiting them, and they will come in several different modifications. Built-in motors, standard motors, motors with a thermal sensor, motors with an encoder, as well as various other configurations. Moreover, at different voltages and different frequencies, all of this has now become a reality. Thanks to your participation, this has become a reality. And if before, you'd pick up an engine that we made entirely by hand and then compare it to the ones that are being made now, you'll notice they're completely different things. And you can very clearly see that everything now is made with advanced high technology and accordingly with a highly acceptable production cost. That's why we have now held a whole series of very important negotiations covering multiple aspects. As they say, one conversation leads to another. Words follow words. Soon talking will end and production will get underway. But in order for production to get going, to launch and finally start earning money, which is the dream of the entire LLC Sovelmash team, we need to put the facility into operation. So the plans we have outlined, as we discussed with you earlier and as previously mentioned, include the commissioning phase, the land buyout process, a careful and thorough appraisal, and finally, adding it to the main assets. All of this goes into tangible and intangible assets. Then comes reorganization from LLC to JSC, and after that, the transfer of rights. We have to complete all these steps.
Will be a 4-kilowatt motor for electric vehicles?
For unmanned vehicles, yes. As for bicycles, I've said for a long time that bicycles, scooters, and everything else like that won't work. You see, what I've stated, what I've said is exactly what the calculations are showing. Right now, we're doing actual calculations, we're conducting measurements, and I'm doing a lot of sampling on the components that were purchased and manufactured. I'm calculating all of this, and in fact, it all clearly demonstrates that given our current production capacity, we currently need to make vehicles with fairly high power. In order to achieve a sufficient profit margin on smaller vehicles sold that would satisfy both investors' interests and our own, we need large production volumes. Either we make large vehicles, but not that many of them, or we make a lot of small ones. We can't produce a huge quantity here. That would require different manufacturing facility. Or we would need to collaborate with companies that produce in large volumes. For example, those that manufacture all of this in China. Thank you.
Long since news on Motylek. Is it flying? And when will you add your controller?
Look, it's not that it's not flying. The Motylek has been completely taken apart for spare parts. Thanks to the new equipment we've acquired with advanced features, we're now making new engines that are significantly different from the previous ones. And you'll see these engines very soon. Well, I actually posted some things in chat number 1. I think you noticed that the appearance has changed. On top of that, they're now smaller in size, more powerful, and have higher engine efficiency. These engines, many solutions have changed in various ways, and this includes updates that specifically involve the encoders. They are now manufactured in a more industrial way, produced with more advanced technology at a lower cost and with higher parameters and performance characteristics. This became possible thanks to the advanced casting methods that we have now thoroughly learned and mastered, and the various solutions we have tried out in practice, carefully verified and thoroughly tested. That's why 2 models are currently being assembled, one for heavy-duty use for flights and the other for the Army. And I truly believe, with full confidence, that everything that has been done so far, as well as all the expenses and costs that were incurred throughout this process, will ultimately prove to be worthwhile. I am certain that all the efforts, resources, and investments made will... We have received the dies for the stator segments, and I would really like to see the Motylek finally take off with the plates and the stator. It was stamped on a crank press machine, which is actually the very same one we used to make angle grinder format motors. We really truly hope, and we genuinely want for this to become a reality. Yes, we were seriously delayed in the delivery of electrical steel, but there is still hope. Thank you.
Am I correct in understanding that the 49% is from net profit, or does that include expenses as well?
49% is a share in the authorized capital. LLC Sovelmash 100%. 51% belongs to the project participants of LLC Sovelmash, and 49% is what should belong to the investors.
Perhaps what is also meant is the share of distributed profit allocated to investors. Is that the context?
No. It is distributed according to the percentage of ownership in the capital.
I think the author is a bit mistaken. Net profit, well, that's,
No, as for the profit, that will be decided by the shareholders meeting where and how it will be allocated, and that will be determined by the shareholders meeting based on the results of the past year. Thank you.